They couldn't afford to do it, the British government. They had to go to the Rothschilds. Again, for the Suez Canal and the Egyptian crisis, Rothschilds. Founding of Israel, British and French Rothschilds. Cecil Rhodes in South Africa, British Rothschilds. We now have the clip in its time code state. It is 1 hour, 22 minutes, 8 seconds where we're jumping in. It is on the topic of Epstein, and it is over here on the Danny Fisher podcast. And like I said, other than the man bun, this looks like a brother of my friend James Cordner, but he doesn't have a man bun. So it's almost like who's that? Deadpool. It's like Deadpool with the woke Deadpool with the man bun.
Nice
Yes.
pool.
Nice pool. It's like nice pool version of James Cordner. Thank you. Nailed it. All right, let's go to the Dalton Fisher podcast. This is Rick Spence talking about Epstein and Mossad. He also had an interesting question at the beginning, an answer to a question about Scientology. I really like the way he was like parsing that answer. So anyway, much can be learned from just hearing what he says or digging into what he's saying. Here's Rick Spence.
Speculation, but we talked a bit. I had a CIA officer in here, John Kiriakou, and he basically just, to sum up, he said it had, in his opinion, all the hallmarks of a Mossad access operation, right? I mean, you're not going to recruit Prince Andrew or Bill Clinton, so what's the next best thing? You recruit somebody that has access to them, even if it's, just rubbing shoulders with them, hearing about what they're up to on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't necessarily have to be getting them in compromising situations. If you happen to wire a house for audio and video and record them having sex with minors, that's another thing. But if you were to speculate about which intelligence agency or agencies, I guess maybe we could start with that, because I would have a follow-up question depending on where it goes.
Well, could the Mossad have been behind it? Well, okay. The Mossad is a relatively small intelligence agency that works for a small country, a very small country, a disproportionately powerful country in some way, but small in terms of its general resources, really, and in terms of its physical size. So one of the things that, from my perspective, influences Israeli policy in every regard is always this gnawing, unavoidable sense of vulnerability. They're always on the edge of destruction.
And then we're going to search on the Rothschild archive. So rothschildarchive.org. We're going to search the site for the word Suez, right? Because Rick was just talking about Suez. Let's type in Suez. Now, it would be amazing, the loan receipts. You want to see the loan receipts? You want to see Lionel de Rothschild in the Suez Canal? It would be ironic if this Suez crisis also was like intertwined somehow with the people who brought apartheid to South Africa and apartheid to Israel later. That would be a notable piece of history that maybe should be under consideration. Lionel de Rothschild assists the British government to purchase shares in the Suez Canal. So the British government couldn't take down the canal by itself, and they had to go to their good friend Benjamin Disraeli, who wrote a famous book called Königsby, and it's basically like a novel about his relationship with Lionel de Rothschild going around doing the things that they did back in the 1800s. So if we cut back over to the browser, on the Rothschild timeline, we have to go to, what was that, 1870? Let's see. Somewhere along here in the long history, let's see. They took over the Royal Mint 1852. It was probably after that. Let's see, exhibition. Let me do a control F. No, wait, right here, 1875. Look at this. Let's read all about it. rothschildarchive.org/exhibitions/timeline. Then you get down to 1875. We didn't even have to use the Internet Archive. We didn't even have to use a time machine. Baron Lionel de Rothschild is remembered in business for his assistance in British government. Milk, pasteurization. In 1875, so he's been, there's many of the Rothschilds involved in the government. 1875, to procure the Khedive of Egypt's, is that like a prince or sultan? What's a Khedive? Should we read on if we don't understand? The Egypt share in the Suez Canal, Lionel advanced a personal loan of £4 million sterling to his friend Disraeli, a huge sum at the time. So, much like Wellington Napoleon, they couldn't afford to do it, the British government. They had to go to the Rothschilds. Again, for the Suez Canal and the Egyptian crisis, Rothschilds. Founding of Israel, British and French Rothschilds. Cecil Rhodes in South Africa, British Rothschilds. So I'm not saying they're involved in everything. I'm not saying they control everything. I think that their place in history is substantial. The history that they participated in is noteworthy, and it should be widely known that these movers and shakers of the international economic genre are to be understood. This is how the world works. These are people who bought the Suez Canal and loaned the money to the government. I think that's a notable place in history, and people should be more educated about such things. That's all.
A Khedive is the viceroy's title for the viceroy of Egypt under Turkish rule up until 1914.
The only viceroy I know is Princess Amidala from Star Wars. She was talking to the viceroy.
That's right.
In that speech, right? Viceroy. That's all. What is a viceroy?
It all ties back to Star Wars, trying to explain politics for us way back in the day. So we would wake up and we just thought it was all lightsabers and force choking.
I really wanted an X-wing fighter, but best I got was a double cross system from the British. It's a double X-wing fighter.
I really wanted free speech in America, but all I got was students being deported for criticizing Israel.
Now you, Scott, do it.
Oh, damn.
Do it live.
I'm not
Do it
really.
live.
Okay, all I wanted was shit. I don't really know.
Two front teeth.
Dude, I guess maybe. Like,
All I want for Christmas
like-
is my two front teeth.
oh,
That was a popular hit back
Only-
in the day.
of course, the only scene that pops in my head is Jabba the Hutt holding Princess Leia on it by a chain.
Pizza the Hut.
Yeah.
That was product
Or-
placement back in Spaceballs.
Well, see,
Slightly.
Spaceballs. Yeah, I know all about Spaceballs. I don't know. I watched Star Wars like once when I was a kid. I don't really know the whole lore around it. Sadly,
Vespa.
folks, I'm sorry.
It's all Princess Vespa to you. All right. Any other commentary? What did you guys think of that clip?
I
A
mean,
nice pull version of Cordner. That was cool. He's interviewing. He's got his notes there. He's well researched. He's got good camera angles, lighting. What do you think the wide angle is for that, Paul? Is that 28 millimeter or 16?
I was going to say 25,
25?
21 to 25.
That's a nice wide angle shot, but they are seated a little bit close together. I'd like to go a little bit wider, but I understand you're going to show the ceiling and more floor. So it's a hard thing to do. So well played. I like the close-up angles, nice bokeh, good lighting. When Rick talks, the camera placement, sometimes when his hand was in front of his face, they were able to cut to another camera that wasn't blocking out. So I know how that is. And I thought, well executed. It's like a 4-hour interview. I didn't make it all the way through yet. But I'm glad to see people doing long form interview content and that it's like a popular thing now and not impossible, because people told me podcasts had to be 20 minutes. Otherwise, no one will listen. And
you showed them.
If anything, you've been training people for nearly 20 years to re-lengthen their attention spans, and you never gave up on your principles or integrity and changed just to pander to the short attention span people. You're just like, no, this is the workout you need to get those muscles built.
I don't need the likes or the subscribes. I just need people to pay attention. And that's why I keep repeating it until I get it right. And they're like, oh, I got it. You know, it's just like, I'm not going to get like all upset. Like, you're not getting it yet. I'll just keep, getting better at articulating that which exists and can easily be shown through all these documents. I mean, the people doing it, they're continuing to publish their agenda and move forward toward their tyranny. I think we should not only be aware, but maybe be in action, making the solutions happen in a daily type of pacing. But you can't get your pace until you find yourself in the race.
Yeah. And now there is an expectation though that that everybody watching and listening should share the show. You got to share the show. That's the important part of the equation. Like, we hand you the information, it must be shared. Okay.
At least share clips.
Tools. Yeah, there's clips because we give you those tools. They clip it out throughout the week. Share the social media, like put the reels on the Instagram on your stories, right? But here's what I was gonna say. There seems to be a contingent again in the chat who feels like it's our obligation to feed them as well. So they want us to provide snacks for them during the show. So I told
The Hammer and Sickle Club's over there.
I know. Well, my response was, if you don't share the show, you will all be standing in a bread line very soon. So please make sure this.
Oh, wait.
It's
I have a breadline video up just
There you
for
go.
them.
twice a year, I teach a course called Autonomy. It's a 12-week course. It teaches leadership, entrepreneur skills, executive skills, all these types of things that I saw were taken out of our education system in order to make the schooling or indoctrination system that we've all probably went through. And it has served us well enough to be interchangeable cogs in the machine of the globalists. But if we want a homestead, if we want write our own ticket, work from home job, work from anywhere type of situation, they're not exactly handing those out at the end of college. They give you a piece of paper and they're like, good luck. So reality is dropping us off here, but the demands of reality are up here. So I created Autonomy to help people close that gap for themselves so they can level up their skills to the demands of the situations that life is putting in front of us presently. Life's demands of intellect and understanding precision and complexity are ever increasing. The schooling didn't prepare us for it. The media is not going to do anything but reinforce what schooling prepared us for. And so we're going to have to take a leadership position and take steps off the beaten path to kind of blaze our own trail in life. What makes the Grand Theft World podcast unique, invigorating, exciting, and informative? Most other podcasts out there are either doing straight up interviews or they're just covering the daily news. They're covering current events from the day they happened. And that is effective. It's useful. It's a great starting point. And then sometimes these current events change during the week past the first story. So we like to give it a little time. You have to wait till some of the dust settles on these stories in order to give them accurate coverage. And the other thing that's really missing in the media landscape is covering the articles that are coming out every day. That's great. That's necessary. But who's bringing in contextual history so that you can understand what has been going on for decades and decades to lead up to the machinations and actions that we see unfolding today? So what we do here on the podcast is we cover current events. Many of these things are censored, but we wait about a week. As a forensic historian, I focused mainly through my career on the history of globalism and collectivism and things that they call maybe the New World Order. There's a lot of facts to these sort of circumstances, groups, events, activities, working groups that they've had over time. So for Grand Theft World listeners, we not only break down the current events, most of which that are censored during the week, we provide you with contextual history, we give you the source notes, the references, we do deep dives, and this really empowers you with an understanding of context and history so that you can make more informed decisions in your life. There's also a community, a membership where you guys can actually ask questions and we can get into the show and we can share evidence. And there's a town hall weekly for Grand Theft World for those who listen to it and are interested in covering the stories that we don't get to during a 6-hour show. Listening to it an hour a day, you could easily consume the week's news, but you're going to have substance and meaning and context and understanding. And with that, you can make higher quality decisions in your life. So if you're interested in more quality in your life, go to grandtheftworld.com, click podcast at the top, and we'll see you there. Thank you.
These allegations are false.
This isn't Grand Theft Auto, folks. This isn't a video game.
What are the most surprising things that you discovered once you started pulling on that thread? Who he was connected to, what institutions he was influential over, what events he participated in?
Come on, man. What are we talking about? Come on, man. No.
You don't have to think about it, dude.
I got this quote because you said you didn't know much about Klaus Schwab. I made it my job to, as soon as this happened, I'm like, okay, this guy's their front man. Let me learn about the official history of the World Economic Forum. I got their 40-year history. I got every book that Klaus Schwab has written or ghostwritten. I went through those books. This is one of the most interesting passages.
Come on, man.